edition of Biographies in Music. The writer and commentator is Francis Robinson, an assistant manager of the Metropolitan Opera. Mr. Robinson's biography today, illustrated as usual by recordings, will be of bass Alexander Kipnis, who will also be interviewed by Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. When we gave our gala farewell at the old Metropolitan Opera House last spring, the program began appropriately with the entrance of the guests from Canada. Our chorus actually seated in the set of the Great Hall of Song. Then our honor guests for the evening, all the former artists of the Metropolitan we could summon, made their entry. When Richard Crooks came on, the tenors of the chorus stood up. And when Alexander Kipnis strode out, the basses, as one man, rose to greet and honor him. How did it feel, Thatcher, to get a standing ovation from your colleagues 20 years after you had last sung at the Metropolitan?
I was overwhelmed and surprised to see all the former singers, some of them still young and looking forward to the future and living gayfully and joyful in the presence. And I was deeply able or have the courage to walk into this dangerous zone. Young singers don't realize how dangerous this zone can be. But when we are on the stage and taken in by the spirit of this great mission we have to fulfill, then everything is forgotten. Everything is just pleasure. The dream ends only after the performance. It's sometimes a very happy and sometimes a very sad awakening.
And Mr. Kipnis knows wherever he speaks because he's been teaching a great deal since his retirement from actual singing. And he, beginning this year, is on the faculty of the Juilliard School of Music. Let's begin at the beginning, Sasha. You were born in Jitomir in the Ukraine.
Yes, it's a beautiful old city about 40 miles away from Kiev.
You were a boy soprano.
Boy soprano, yes. And I graduated the Warsaw Conservatory not as a singer, but as a conductor.
So you might have today been on the podium rather than in the studio.
Yes, I might today not be a retired singer, but an active conductor.
They last longer, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Now, was Berlin the next stop?
Berlin was the next stop to study for me, to study.
With Grenzebach.
With Grenzebach. He was a good teacher. He opened for me many sources of good music which I didn't know. I didn't know Handel, I didn't know Schubert or Mozart or anything at that time.
Since Grenzebach introduced you to Handel, why don't we begin today's musical program with a Handel aria?
Will be fine.
From Berenice?
Berenice, yes.
Si Tracetti.
Tra i tetti e le risorse la mia per risplenderà. La mia per risplenderà. Risplenderà la mia fe tra le risorse. Sì, tra i tetti e le risorse la mia fe risplenderà. La mia fe risplenderà. Risplenderà tra le risorse la mia fe risplenderà.
I think you are probably the only singer on record whose debut landed him in an internment camp. Will you tell us about that?
It was in the beginning of World War I. I was very busy studying my arias, my songs, but I had an obligation to come twice a day to the police station to register. Being an enemy alien, I had to do that. And one day, after registering there, the policeman said to me, I have to take you somewhere. He took me down to the prison, Alexanderplatz, where they kept me for quite a while. And in my sorrow, not knowing what I'm going to do, how long I'm going to stay, I was trying to memorize, to repeat all the songs which I sang. And I've learned that the guard, the prison knew music, and he gave a message to a friend of mine in Berlin that I'm arrested, and if he could help me to get out of this situation. This friend of mine was a certain Baron von Mutzenbecher, whose brother was the intendant or the general manager in Wiesbaden. And through them, I got out of the prison. From there, I was signed up to the Hamburg Opera, where I stayed for 2 years. But before going to Hamburg, I had already a contract to Wiesbaden. Wiesbaden for 5 years.
And your debut in Hamburg was Freischütz.
Freischütz, right.
Shall we hear a bit of the Trinklied?
Sei mein Appetit für Völkerten Peterley, eine wilde Welt, eine wilde Welt.
One of your roles in Wiesbaden is from an opera we don't hear much today. So for the next number, let's hear some of Osmin from Seraglio. Do you want to set the stage for that?
The character begins with a lovely aria. He's sitting on the top of a tree and plucking fruits and sings this beautiful tune.
As befits a bird. Osmin's aria from the Abduction from the Seraglio by Alexander Kipnis.
Sonderlich bei Monde ne Scheine, Freunde, nehmt sie wohl in Acht. Oft soll da ein junges Herrchen, wird und lobt das kleine Närrchen. Und eine treue, gute Nacht. Und eine treue, gute Nacht.
Now we come to those great years in Bayreuth. Tell us about those times.
After a performance or during a performance of Tristan in Berlin, Siegfried Wagner came backstage and asked me if I would like to sing in Bayreuth the same part. Who wouldn't? Of course, I accepted immediately, and I came to Bayreuth, and I studied Tristan, and I studied Parsifal. I sang both parts. Parsifal at that time was going to be recorded.
These are records of 40 years ago, and I believe they are the first records actually on location. This is Alexander Kipnis in the beginning of the Good Friday music from Wagner's Parsifal, recorded in the Festspielhaus at Bayreuth, with Siegfried Wagner conducting. Gurnemanz in Parsifal was also the role of Alexander Kipnis' debut at the Metropolitan Opera. Now we're getting a little ahead of our story, Sasha. You first came to this country with a German opera company in which were Shore and Edith Fleischer, and the conductors were Miriker and Leo Blech, I believe.
Right.
And you played the Manhattan Opera House in 34th Street, is that right?
That's right, in Manhattan Opera House, and later on we moved to the Lexington Opera House.
Your debut was Pogner in Meistersinger, right?
Yes, it was the first time and only time when the people started to applaud after Pogner's address. I was surprised. I never had this opportunity, neither in Europe nor here since. But on the following morning, I had results.
And there were two very distinguished guests in the audience that evening.
And that evening, yes, there was Mary Garden and Giorgio Polacco and Samuel Insul. And I got an invitation and a contract to the Chicago Civic Opera. At that time, the Chicago Civic Opera was second only to the Metropolitan. But since the Metropolitan at that time didn't ask me, I accepted Chicago.
That's where I first heard you, and we will have a record from the role of that opera, Rosenkavalier, the waltz scene which ends Act 2 of Der Rosenkavalier, Alexander Kipnis.
Mit mir, mit mir, mit mir, keine Nacht hier das später, als auf einmal, dann zum Schluss, wie war von dreht sie ab indessen, gab sie ein Streitzeug in mein Zimmer hin, so drüben, dass ich sie antraf, dann die
Tell us about your discovery of Kirsten Flagstad.
Well, I don't know to call it discovery, but I helped her immediately after I heard her. I was asked if I could replace King Mark in Tristan
in Oslo. I agreed, and there I heard a soprano of unusual brilliance, good looking, not too big in fat. I asked her if she would like to sing in Berlin or in Bayreuth or anywhere else, after finding out that she never sang outside the Nordic countries. So I recommended her to Titian, who was the intendant of the State Opera in Berlin, and he was also the general manager in Bayreuth at that time. After a few days, Titian said, "Your protege is really very, very good." I engaged her for Bayreuth to sing the third norm and to be a substitute for Sieglinde.
Did you ever sing Valkyrie with her?
Yes, I sang Valkyrie with her in, it was a guest performance from Chicago, from the Chicago cast in Milwaukee.
Yes. Well, that brings us to our next record then, that sublime moment where Wotan kisses Brunhilde's godhead from her and puts her to sleep on the Valkyrie rock. Alexander Kipnis in the last pages of Wagner's Die Valkyrie. And now we come to Boris Godunov, that testing ground of every bass, and a compulsion, I should think, with a Russian bass like Alexander Kipnis. You were allowed to sing in Russian with the rest of the company in Italian.
I sang this opera in concert form in German, in Holland, also in Germany. Then I decided it doesn't sound as good, neither dramatically nor musically, and so I restudied the opera in Russian. I sang this opera in many, many countries, and no matter in what language the rest sang, French or German or Italian, I sang it also in Russian. It's very simple, because Boris Godunov is a solo part, actually. He sings most of the time monologues. He talks to himself. He has only one dramatic scene with Shuisky, and the scene is so dramatic that it doesn't make any difference in what language he sings. On the contrary, I think even the people who don't understand any Russian have more understanding by listening the sound than this opera. There is no bad actor or bad singer who can spoil the part of Boris. Boris is a part which carries the singer, not the singer carries the part. It is, I'm sure, a holiday for every singer when he can sing Boris Godunov, especially when he can sing it in Russian.
So we have the famous clock scene from Act 2 of Boris Godunov by Alexander Kipnis and in Russian. Alexander Kipnis is known as a great lieder singer. In fact, Grove's dictionary, that Bible of musicians, ends its sketch on Alexander Kipnis with these words: "Few modern singers, used to the exaggeration proper to opera and to the concealment afforded by an orchestra, achieve his success on a small canvas." So today, we want to close with one of Schubert's most beautiful songs, Heidenröslein.
Der wilde Knabe brach Röslein oder Heiden. Röslein wehrte sich und stach, als ihm doch kein Weh und Bach musste sieben allein. Rüslein, 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 Rüslein auf der Heiden.
When I hear Alexander Kipnis and his way with one of the great songs of Schubert or Brahms or Wolf, I think of what a poet said about the rain pool. The smallest of all bodies of water, yet one that may mirror the sky.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson and Mr. Kipnis.